Have you ever seen a luxurious house, an expensive car, or a bank account someone spent a lifetime building disappear in a single moment? A storm, an accident, a medical diagnosis, a phone call in the middle of the night, in just a few seconds. Everything changes. It sounds frightening. But the truth is, this is not rare. This is life. We grow up believing that if we try hard enough, if we achieve enough, if we accumulate enough, we will finally feel safe, at peace, as if we have arrived. But have you noticed? That feeling of arrival always moves one step further away. When we get the house, we worry about the mortgage. When we get the job, we fear losing it. When we get money, we fear losing money. When we find love, we fear separation. We are not truly living in peace. We are living in fear of loss. And that fear makes us cling even tighter. We cling to reputation. We cling to achievements. We cling to relationships. We cling to the image of who we think we are. But the tighter we hold, the more exhausted our hands become. The Buddha taught that human life is like clouds drifting across the sky. You may see a magnificent cloud floating above, but you cannot hold it. You cannot ask it to stay. You can only watch it pass. Life is the same. Today we are young. Tomorrow strands of gray appear. Today loved ones sit beside us. Tomorrow only memories remain. Today a door opens. Tomorrow it may be closed. Everything is moving. Everything is changing. Yet we live as if everything will last forever. And that is the root of suffering, not because of loss, but because we try to hold what cannot be held. I once met a man who spent 40 years building his career. He owned homes, assets, status, the things many people dream of. Then one day, his company collapsed. His assets were liquidated. Within months, he lost nearly everything. People expected him to break. But when I met him, he said something I will never forget. For the first time in my life, I feel light. He explained that for years he lived in fear of losing everything. When he finally lost it, he realized what had exhausted him was not the work, but the attachment. He said, "I thought I owned everything. Turns out, they owned me." His words left me silent. How many things in our lives do we think belong to us, while in truth we have become prisoners of them? We hold money, but money holds us in anxiety. We hold status, but status holds us in pressure. We hold an image, but that image holds us in fear of judgment. When we understand that everything is impermanent, it is not meant to make us sad, but to make us free. Because when we know something will not last forever, we begin to cherish it. We say words of love sooner. We apologize while there is still time. We forgive while the heart is still warm. We live fully instead of postponing happiness. Understanding impermanence does not make life meaningless. It makes each moment precious. Consider this. If you knew today was the last day you would ever see the sky, would you rush past it? If you knew tonight's dinner was the last meal with your family, would you spend it staring at your phone? If you knew this conversation was the last with someone, would you speak careless words? Impermanence is not the enemy. Impermanence is a gentle reminder. Live now. And when we accept that everything will change, something miraculous happens. We let go. When we let go, we do not lose. We become light. We stop trying to control everything. We stop fearing what has not yet happened. We stop losing the present by worrying about the future. We begin to live, not in fear, not in accumulation, not in endless striving, but in presence. Perhaps today you are still worried and still trying to hold on to something, a relationship, a position, an image, a past. Try asking yourself one gentle question. If this leaves, will I still be me? And if the answer is yes, you have touched freedom. Take a deep breath in. Exhale slowly. Life continues to drift like clouds. You do not need to hold the clouds. You only need to sit still and feel the sky. Let them do what they do. Keep your own mind pure. There is a strange truth you may have experienced yourself. Sometimes a single remark from someone else is enough to keep us awake all night, not because the words were so powerful, but because we carried them too deeply inside. Have you ever felt this way? One careless criticism can make the entire day heavy. One irritated glance can stay in our thoughts for hours. One misunderstanding can leave us exhausted from trying to explain. We say we want peace, yet we place that peace in other people's hands. If they praise us, we feel happy. If they criticize us, we feel hurt. If they understand us, we feel relieved. If they misunderstand us, we suffer. And so our minds are pulled in every direction by things beyond our control. The Buddha taught something very simple. What others do is their karma. How we respond is our karma. It sounds simple, but if truly understood, it can change an entire life. Think back to a time you were misunderstood. Perhaps at work, within your family, or among friends. You tried to explain. You tried to prove. You tried to clarify everything. Yet the more you tried, the more exhausted you became. Not because the situation was impossible to resolve, but because you were fighting to protect your image in the eyes of others. We are raised with the need to be acknowledged, to be understood correctly, to be judged fairly. But life does not operate that way. Some people will understand you, some will not. Some will trust you, some will doubt you. And this does not always reflect who you truly are. I once knew a woman who worked in a small office. She was diligent, gentle, and always willing to help others. But out of jealousy, a colleague spread a rumor that she had stolen company documents. At first, she panicked. She explained herself to everyone. She cried. She lost sleep. She felt as if the entire world had turned against her. One day she decided to stop, not because she gave up, but because she realized she had handed her life over to other people's words. She continued working kindly, continued helping others, continued living according to her values. Months later, the truth came to light. The person spreading the rumor was exposed. But what mattered was not that she was cleared. What mattered was that during that time she learned not to let other people's words determine her peace. She said, "I cannot control what others say, but I can control my own heart." That is freedom. We often believe peace comes when everyone treats us well. But true peace appears when we no longer depend on how others treat us. People may misunderstand you. People may speak wrongly about you. People may be unfair to you. But if your mind does not waver, they cannot take your peace away. This does not mean becoming indifferent or detached from life. It means releasing the attachment to being approved. You still live kindly. You still do what is right. You still love. But you no longer live to prove it. There is a question worth reflecting on. How much energy in your life has been spent explaining yourself to others? How many hours of sleep have you lost over a single comment? How many times have you doubted yourself simply because someone failed to understand you? When we pause, we realize something. It is not their words that hurt us. It is our attachment to how they see us. The Buddha taught that when the mind is at peace, everything is at peace, not because the world grows quiet, but because we no longer let the noise enter the heart. Imagine standing beside a still lake. If a stone is thrown, ripples spread across the surface, but without the stone, the water remains calm. Praise, criticism, misunderstanding, judgment. These are the stones. But only when we pick them up and hold them inside do the ripples continue. You cannot stop others from throwing stones, but you can choose not to hold them. Take a deep breath in. Exhale gently. If today someone misunderstands you, let it pass. If today someone speaks wrongly, let the wind carry it away. If today someone is unfair, keep your own heart fair. Because peace does not lie in others treating us correctly. It lies in our ability to keep a clear heart amid imperfection. And when you are no longer shaken by praise or blame, a lightness begins to appear, a quiet freedom, a strength from within. And from that inner steadiness, you begin to step into a deeper layer of peace. Yet another question arises. If we are no longer chasing others' judgments of right and wrong, what then will guide our lives? We will look more deeply into that in the next part. The law of cause and effect is always fair. Have you ever seen someone who lives dishonestly, selfishly, even harming others, yet remains wealthy, successful, and seemingly untouched by consequences? Meanwhile, someone kind, hardworking, and sincere keeps facing hardship? In moments like these, a familiar question rises within us. Is life truly fair? If you have ever felt injustice in situations like this, you are not alone. All of us have had moments of doubt, moments of frustration, moments when the world seems to operate according to a very confusing order. But in Buddhist teaching, there is a quiet and profound principle, the law of cause and effect. It is not a reward or punishment delivered by an external force, but a natural law of life. Plant a mango seed, and an apple tree will not grow. Plant bitterness, and you cannot expect sweetness. This seems obvious in nature, yet when applied to human life, we easily forget. We want good results without patiently planting good causes. We want peace while continuing to nourish anger. We want love while holding hurt and defensiveness inside. The law of cause and effect does not operate according to our emotions. It works in silence, with persistence, and with precision. The challenge is, results do not always appear immediately. We live in a world accustomed to speed. Messages arrive instantly, food is delivered in minutes, information is one tap away. So unconsciously, we expect results to arrive just as quickly. But cause and effect is not a text message. It is like planting a tree. You plant the seed today. You cannot demand shade tomorrow. Some seeds require long periods to sprout. Some grow silently beneath the soil before reaching the light. Life is the same. One act of kindness today may not bring immediate results, but it is quietly transforming who you are, the relationships around you, and the energy you bring into the world. Likewise, a harmful action may not produce instant consequences, but that does not mean it disappears. I once knew a businessman who became very successful. He grew wealthy quickly by bending rules and exploiting others. For many years, he lived in luxury and was admired. People said, "He's clever." Others said, "Life is unfair." But over time, those he deceived left him. Partners stopped trusting him. His family fell apart. He became isolated within his own wealth. It was not that life punished him one day. It was that the seeds he planted had grown. In contrast, I knew a woman who worked as a hospital cleaner. She always smiled, helped others, and worked with rare dedication. Few people paid much attention to her. But when she became ill, nurses took turns caring for her after their shifts. Doctors visited her, and patients she had once greeted sent messages of concern. Through tears, she said, "I don't know what I did to deserve this love." In truth, she knew. She had simply never kept count. Cause and effect does not appear only as money or success. Sometimes it appears as trust, compassion, and inner peace, and these are assets that cannot be lost. Another important truth we often forget: someone doing wrong today may still be enjoying the blessings of good they created in the past. Like a bank account, if they deposited much before, they may continue withdrawing, even if they are no longer depositing now. But when the account runs dry, consequences will arise. Understanding this helps us stop feeling outraged when others have not yet received their consequences. Because we understand everything unfolds in its own time. More importantly, we stop living in resentment. When we trust cause and effect, We no longer compare our lives to others. We no longer need jealousy. We no longer need bitterness. We simply focus on the seeds we plant each day. What are you planting in your thoughts? What are you planting in your words? What are you planting in your actions? Every wholesome thought is a seed. Every kind word is a seed. Every sincere action is a seed. And the garden of your life will bloom according to what you plant. When we understand this, a lightness appears in the heart. We no longer resent the past. We no longer rage against the present. We no longer fear the future. We simply live well and allow life to respond. If today you are facing hardship, do not rush to believe life is unfair. Perhaps this is an opportunity to plant new seeds, more patience, more kindness, more compassion. And if today you are experiencing ease, remember to continue planting goodness, so blessings do not end with the present moment. The law of cause and effect is not meant to frighten us. It helps us live with awareness. And when we understand this deeply, we begin to release resentment, release comparison, release the feeling of injustice. A quiet peace begins to form. Because we know, life shows favoritism to no one. It simply reflects what has been planted. And when resentment settles, the heart becomes softer, ready to enter an even deeper quality of happiness. Keeping a kind heart is the foundation of happiness. What would happen if one day you realized that happiness does not come from having more than others, but from having a lighter heart each day? It sounds simple. Yet in a life filled with comparison, competition, and pressure, we easily forget this. We are taught to succeed, to stand out, to move ahead. And without noticing, we begin measuring our worth through winning and losing. Who earns more money? Who holds a higher position? Who has a more admirable life? But have you noticed? The more we compare, the more exhausted the heart becomes. We think we are moving toward happiness, yet we are stepping deeper into unease. The Buddha taught that the foundation of happiness is not in defeating others, but in keeping a kind heart in every thought, word, and action. Kindness is not something grand. It may be a gentle word when you feel irritated, patience when someone makes a mistake, an act of help when no one is watching. Kindness is choosing compassion, even when you have reason to become bitter. And the miracle is this: a kind heart does not only comfort others, it brings immediate peace to you. Try remembering a time you helped someone without expecting anything in return. A warmth spread quietly inside you. No one gave you a reward. No one applauded. Yet within you, a genuine lightness appeared. That is the reward of kindness. In contrast, when we speak harsh words in anger, even if the other person does not respond, we still feel heavy afterward. The mind repeats the conversation, justifies itself, and continues its tension. Actions born from anger cannot bring peace, but actions born from kindness calm the heart. I once met an elderly lottery ticket seller sitting outside a small cafe. He did not have much money, no large house, no notable possessions. Yet whenever customers entered, he greeted them with a warm smile as if they were old friends. One rainy day, I saw a young woman return to give him a new raincoat. Another person brought him a warm meal. The cafe owner occasionally offered him tea. He was not rich, but he was never lonely. He was not famous, but he was loved. He did not have much, but he always smiled, perhaps because he lived with a kind heart. We often think wealth is required for joy. Yet, there are people who possess everything and remain restless, and there are those with very little whose eyes shine with peace. The difference does not lie in possessions. It lies in the heart. When you nurture kindness, you do not need to wait for the future to be happy. You feel peace in the present. When you speak kindly, your heart softens. When you think wholesome thoughts, your mind grows brighter. When you act from goodness, your spirit becomes lighter. Happiness is no longer a distant goal. it becomes a living state. This does not mean you must be perfect or kind at every moment. We all feel tired, hurt, or irritated at times. But each time you recognize this and return to kindness, you are cultivating peace within yourself. Try asking yourself, today, did my words make someone feel lighter or heavier? Today, did my thoughts bring peace or tension? Today, did my actions arise from kindness or from competition? These questions are not meant to judge you. They simply guide you back to what matters most, your heart. Because in the end, what allows us to sleep peacefully is not winning an argument, but knowing we lived according to our conscience. What brings peace is not being above others, but not causing harm. What brings happiness is not having more, but living in goodness. When we understand this, we no longer need to chase approval. We do not need to prove we are good. Oh, we simply live with quiet kindness. And within that quietness, a deep joy begins to grow. A joy that is not loud. A joy that does not seek attention, yet warm enough to illuminate even the darkest days. The world outside may still be competitive, unequal, and unfair. But a person who keeps a kind heart is like someone holding a lantern in the night. They do not remove the darkness of the world, but they carry enough light to walk in peace. And when our hearts grow gentler, something natural happens. We begin to see others with compassion rather than judgment. From there, a new door opens, the door of compassion and deeper understanding of the human heart. When you leave a conversation today, do others feel lighter or heavier? Doing good does not have to be grand. Do you believe that sometimes a small act, so small that almost no one notices, can change someone's entire day and quietly change your life as well? We often think doing good must be something big, donating large sums of money, performing great deeds, or creating sweeping change for society. But if we wait until we are wealthy enough, have enough time, or feel capable enough, we may be waiting a very long time. Meanwhile, each day, life offers us very small opportunities to plant goodness. A smile to a server who looks exhausted, a sincere thank you to a delivery worker in the rain, a comforting hand to hold when someone is grieving. These things cost nothing. They take little time, yet they carry the power to warm another human heart. And the miracle is this: when you do something good, you're not only helping the receiver, you are nurturing something beautiful within yourself. Have you ever walked away from a conversation in which you truly listened to someone without interrupting, without judging? You leave feeling lighter, not because you gained anything, but because you were fully present for another human being. That is goodness. Goodness is not a grand act. Goodness is a present heart. I once witnessed a small scene on a bus that I still remember today. A boy, about 10 years old, stood up and offered his seat to an elderly woman. No one asked him, no one paid attention. He simply smiled and turned to look out the window. The woman placed her hand on his shoulder and whispered, "Thank you." The moment lasted less than a minute. Yet in the quiet space of the bus, you could feel warmth spreading. Nothing extraordinary happened, only kindness. And sometimes, it is these simple moments that keep the world gentle. We often think giving means losing, but the true experience is the opposite. When we give kindness, our hearts feel fuller. When we give compassion, our minds soften. When we give help, our lives become more meaningful. Giving with sincerity does not make us poorer. It enriches us from within. Yet there is a subtle point. True goodness is not giving in order to receive. If we help someone only to be praised, we will feel disappointed when no one notices. If we are kind to be repaid, we will feel hurt when others are indifferent. If we give in order to accumulate merit like a transaction, the heart remains calculating. True goodness arises when the heart opens without demand, like the sun shining without choosing whom to warm, like rain falling without asking for thanks. Someone once told me, "I'm not wealthy, but I always try to help others in small ways." He worked as a security guard in an apartment building. Every morning he opened the door and greeted residents with a warm smile. When it rained, he held an umbrella for them. When someone carried heavy bags, he helped bring them to the elevator. Many saw it as simply his job. But one day, he had to stop working due to illness. The residents joined together to help pay his medical bills. They took turns visiting him. He wept and said, "I only did small things." Yes, small things, but done with a large heart. Life does not measure the value of an action by its size, but by the love within it. A shared meal when someone is hungry, a message of care when someone feels alone, a quiet presence when someone needs to be understood. These are gifts that cannot be bought. Try asking yourself, today, what have I done to make the world a little gentler? It does not need to be grand. It does not need to be perfect. It only needs to be sincere. And you may discover that when you begin planting small seeds of kindness, the world around you slowly changes. And then not because the world instantly transforms, but because the way you experience it changes. You begin to see more smiles. You feel more connection. You slow down and grow warmer. Small acts done with a great heart can create immeasurable blessings, not blessings somewhere far away, but a deep peace within, a sense that life holds meaning, a quiet joy in knowing you are helping make the world gentler. And when we grow accustomed to living with kindness in small things, our hearts gradually open wider. We do not only help when it is convenient, we learn to open even when we ourselves are hurting. From there, a deeper quality begins to arise, the ability to forgive and release the burdens within the heart. Perhaps today, you only need to smile at a stranger. Sometimes that is enough. Forgiveness and letting go bring liberation. There is a truth few people tell us. Sometimes the person who hurt you in the past is no longer present in your life, yet the pain they left behind still lives in your mind each day. The wound is old, the story is over, but the anger, hurt, and sense of injustice continue to replay in silence. Have you ever noticed this? We think we hold on to the memory to protect ourselves, but in truth, we hold on to the pain and continue hurting ourselves. Resentment can feel justified. When someone hurts us, anger is a natural response. We want fairness. We want to be understood. We want the other person to admit their fault. Yet, something strange happens. Even when they are gone, even when the story has ended, the negative emotions remain. It is like drinking poison and waiting for someone else to suffer the consequences. The Buddha taught that resentment does not hurt the other person. It only prolongs the pain within ourselves. We often believe forgiveness is difficult. Does forgiveness mean accepting what happened? Saying everything was okay? Ignoring wrongdoing? No. Forgiveness is not saying what they did was right. Forgiveness is not forgetting what happened. Forgiveness is not allowing them to continue hurting you. Forgiveness is freeing yourself from the burden of hatred. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack on your back for many years. At first, you believe you need to carry it, to remember, to stay alert, to avoid being hurt again. But over time, the backpack exhausts you. Your shoulders ache, your back bends. You no longer have the energy to walk lightly. Forgiveness is not throwing away the past. Forgiveness is setting the backpack down. I once spoke with a woman who had not spoken to her father for many years. As a child, she felt abandoned and deeply wounded. That pain followed her into adulthood. She succeeded in her career and built her own family. But whenever her father was mentioned, her eyes grew heavy. One day, she decided to write a letter, not to send, but to express everything she had carried inside for years. She cried, she trembled, she wrote her most painful memories. Then she ended the letter with one sentence: "I cannot change the past, but I choose not to let it continue hurting my present. She did not forget, but she forgave, not for her father, but for her own heart. Afterward, she said that for the first time in decades, she felt light. Close your eyes for a moment and whisper silently, "I choose to let go." The pain did not disappear immediately, but it no longer consumed her entire life. Forgiveness does not change the past, but it changes how we live with the past. When we hold hatred, we remain bound to the person who hurt us. They may have moved on, but we remain frozen in an old moment. Letting go is not weakness. Letting go is strength. It requires the courage to face the pain, to acknowledge the hurt, and to choose not to carry it for the rest of your life. You may be thinking, "But they hurt me too deeply." That may be true, but the more important question is, do you want to carry that pain for another 5 years, 10 years, or the rest of your life? Forgiveness does not happen in a single moment. Sometimes it is a process, a journey back toward compassion for yourself. You can begin very small, by acknowledging, "I was hurt," by allowing yourself to feel the pain without denial, by slowly releasing the desire for revenge or the need to prove right and wrong. Each time you let go a little, your heart becomes a little lighter, and then you realize that freedom does not lie in the other person apologizing. Freedom lies in no longer being bound by what happened. When hatred settles, the mind becomes quieter, the body relaxes, the breath deepens. You begin to experience the present instead of living inside old memories. Letting go does not erase the past. It returns the present to you. Try asking yourself gently, what burden have I carried for too long? What story am I still reliving each day? If I set it down, how light might I feel? You do not need to rush. Simply begin with the intention to release, because when the heart is no longer bound by resentment, a new space opens, a space of peace, healing, and inner freedom. And within that quiet space, we begin to realize that happiness does not come from changing the past, but from how we walk forward in the present. And when the heart grows lighter, another gentle question arises. If we no longer carry hatred, what will fill the space within our hearts? Contentment is true wealth. Have you ever achieved something you once deeply desired, only to find that not long afterward, the happiness faded, replaced by a new and greater desire? We think, just a little more, and I will feel enough. More money, another promotion, one more achievement. Yet the word enough always seems to step further away. If you have ever felt this way, you are not alone. Modern society is built on the idea that we always need more to be happier. More convenience, more achievement, more recognition. And in that race, we slowly forget to ask a very important question. How much is enough? The Buddha taught that craving never says, enough. It always whispers, more, more, more. Craving is not only about money. It can be craving attention, admiration, or the feeling of being above others. And the troubling truth is that when craving leads the way, we live in a state of lack, even when we possess a great deal. You may have a beautiful house and still feel it is not enough. You may have a good job and still feel unsatisfied. You may be surrounded by people and still feel empty. Not because you lack, but because the feeling of not enough lives within you. I once met a man working for a large corporation. He had a high income, a comfortable home, and a schedule packed with business trips. From the outside, everything looked enviable. But during a long flight, he admitted that he was constantly exhausted. Not because the work was too hard, but because he never felt he had reached a stopping point. When I reach one goal, he said, I immediately set another. I don't remember the last time I felt enough. A simple sentence, yet it reflects the condition of many lives. In contrast, I once visited a small rural village. A farmer lived in a modest house, ate simple meals, and each afternoon sat on his porch watching the sunset. He was not wealthy, not famous, not busy. But he smiled easily. When I asked if he wished for anything more, he replied, "I have enough to live, enough to eat. My family is healthy. I feel fortunate." It was not that he had less. He simply needed less. A person who knows contentment does not abandon effort or live without aspiration. They still work, grow, and move forward. But they do not sacrifice peace in endless pursuit. They can strive without losing gratitude. They can achieve without being bound by desire. They can move forward while still feeling enough in the present. Contentment is not stopping. Contentment is stopping the restless mind. When you feel enough, you begin to enjoy what is already here instead of constantly focusing on what is missing. A family meal is no longer ordinary. A peaceful morning is no longer taken for granted. A healthy body becomes a precious gift. You begin to live in gratitude rather than scarcity. And something remarkable happens. When you feel enough, your heart becomes lighter. There is no pressure to prove yourself, no anxiety about keeping up with others, no fear of being left behind. You walk more slowly, yet more steadily. You work without exhaustion. You live instead of merely rushing. Try asking yourself a deeply honest question. If tomorrow brings nothing more, would this life still be worthy of appreciation? This question is not meant to frighten us. It helps us recognize how precious what we already have truly is. Because true wealth does not lie in what you accumulate, but in the sense of contentment within your heart. A person who has much yet always feels lacking is poor. A person who has enough and feels enough is rich. When we stop letting craving lead us, a new space opens in the mind, a space of ease. We are no longer pulled by endless desire. We stop comparing our lives with others. We stop trading the present for an imagined future. We live here. And in this present moment, we realize how much there is to be grateful for. Contentment does not make your life smaller. It makes your heart wider. And when the heart opens wide, you begin to experience freedom, a peace not dependent on circumstances. From this freedom, a new question gently arises. When we are no longer driven by craving, how will we live within a competitive world? Right now, think of 3 things you have and feel the fullness within this moment. Humility and letting go of the need to win. Have you ever noticed that there are arguments where even when you win, you still feel exhausted? And sometimes the price of being right is a relationship that grows distant? We grow up in a world that celebrates victory. Winners are applauded. Those who are right are acknowledged. Those who stand out receive attention. So it is natural to want to prove we are right, defend our views, and avoid losing in any conversation. Yet, there is a quiet truth life teaches over time. Not every victory is worth winning. You may win an argument, but lose closeness. You may prove you are right, but hurt someone. You may defend your ego, but lose inner peace. The Buddha taught that arrogance and the need to compete are subtle traps of the ego. When we always need to be above others, we unintentionally build an invisible wall between ourselves and the world. An arrogant person may stand higher, but often stands alone. Arrogance does not always appear as boasting. Sometimes it appears in subtle forms, the feeling of being more knowledgeable, more correct, more moral, or more deserving than others. And when the mind is governed by that feeling, we begin to look down on others instead of meeting them eye to eye. This does not create respect. It creates distance. I once witnessed 2 close friends slowly drift apart over minor disagreements. It began with work matters, then personal views, then trivial details. No one wanted to yield. No one wanted to step back. No one wanted to be wrong. Eventually, they stopped speaking, not because the issue was large, but because the ego was. In contrast, I once met an elderly professor who had spent his entire life teaching and researching. What impressed me was not his vast knowledge, but the way he listened, which when a student offered an incomplete idea, he did not dismiss it. He did not interrupt. He nodded, reflected, and gently asked questions so the student could discover the answer themselves. He did not need to prove his intelligence. His humility revealed his wisdom. Humility is not lowering yourself. It is understanding that your knowledge has limits and that every person you meet has something to teach you. A humble person does not need to be above others to feel valuable. They are not driven by the need to prove, but by the desire to understand. And that is what makes them approachable, trustworthy, and deep. Have you noticed that the people who make you feel most at ease are not those who are always right, but those who make you feel heard? When we let go of the need to win, the heart grows lighter. We are no longer tense defending our opinions. We no longer worry about winning every conversation. Or do we no longer see others as opponents? We begin to see them as human beings. This does not mean abandoning our principles. It does not mean giving up our values. It means understanding that not every difference requires a winner and a loser. Some conversations exist to understand each other, not to defeat each other. Some situations require compassion more than argument. Some moments reveal more wisdom in silence than in words. Try remembering a time you chose silence instead of arguing. Not because you were wrong, but because you recognized that peace mattered more than proving right and wrong. That moment was not defeat, it was freedom. Freedom from the need to win. Freedom from defensiveness. Freedom from the burden of the ego. Humility is inner strength because it allows us to stand firm without needing to stand above others. We are not shaken by praise, nor threatened by criticism. We do not need to stand on top of anyone to feel our worth. We only need to stand firmly within ourselves. Try asking yourself, how many arguments in life are truly worth keeping? How many times have we tried to prove we were right, only to feel exhausted afterward? If we loosen our need to compete, how much lighter might life become? The world outside will still contain competition. Some will still seek victory. Conflicts will still exist. But you are not required to participate in all of them. You can choose peace. You can choose to listen. You can choose humility. And in that choice, a gentle lightness begins to spread. Not because you have become weaker, but because you are no longer carrying the weight of the ego on your shoulders. When the ego softens, the heart opens. We begin to see others with compassion instead of comparison. And from that compassion, a deeper quality begins to grow. The ability to appreciate and feel grateful for what is present in our lives. Is it possible that many arguments in life are not worth losing our peace over? Gratitude nourishes blessings. There is something very strange. When life flows smoothly, we rarely pause to appreciate it. Yet when something familiar suddenly disappears, we realize how precious it truly was. Waking up healthy in the morning, a meal shared with loved ones beside you, a familiar call just to ask how you are. These ordinary moments are actually gifts, but because they are present every day, we easily take them for granted. Only when they are gone do we realize how rich we once were. Gratitude begins with this realization, the understanding that our lives are not built by personal effort alone, but by countless hands that have supported us. Our parents raised us through silent sacrifice. Teachers gave us knowledge and confidence. Friends stood beside us in difficult days. Almost strangers helped us through small but meaningful acts. No one grows alone. When we pause and look more deeply, we realize our lives are woven from the kindness of many people. And upon seeing this, the heart naturally softens. Gratitude is not merely saying thank you. Gratitude is deeply feeling that we are being supported by life itself. You might recall someone who helped you when you were at your weakest. They may not even remember it now. But for you, that help became a point of support. When we carry gratitude, the memory of that kindness continues warming our hearts through the years. I once heard the story of a successful man who returned to visit his old school after many years. He sought out his elementary teacher, the one who believed in him when he was a shy and struggling child. He told her, "If it weren't for you, I might never have believed I could do anything in life." The elderly teacher fell silent, tears in her eyes. She said she had only done her job. But to him, that belief changed the direction of his life. Sometimes what we receive in life is not grand material gifts, but seeds of confidence, kindness, and emotional support. And when we remember them with gratitude, our hearts grow warmer. What is interesting is that gratitude is not only for pleasant things. Those who practice deep gratitude also learn to be grateful for adversity, not because suffering is comfortable, but because they recognize that hardship helped them grow. A failure makes us more humble. A loss teaches us to cherish. A challenge strengthens us. Looking back, many people realize that their most difficult seasons were also the ones in which they learned the most. Gratitude for hardship does not mean denying pain. It means recognizing the value of the lessons pain brings. When gratitude appears, the heart softens. The rigidity of judgment loosens. We blame less, compare less, and feel less like victims of life. Instead, we begin to see life with greater compassion and generosity. And something miraculous happens. When we are grateful, we feel enough. Not because we have everything, but because we see the value in what we already have. A grateful person does not live in scarcity. They live in appreciation. They feel joy in small things. They cherish the relationships present. They find beauty in simple moments, and therefore, they live in peace. Try something very simple tonight. Before sleeping, think of 3 things you are grateful for today. They do not need to be large. Perhaps a good meal, a warm conversation, or simply a peaceful moment. You may notice your heart becoming gentler, because where gratitude exists, peace resides. When we nurture gratitude, we no longer see life as a chain of lacks waiting to be filled, but as a gift slowly being unwrapped. We slow down, we feel more deeply, we love more fully, and from that gratitude, we naturally want to give more, not out of obligation, but because the heart has become abundant. But when the heart opens in gratitude, a gentle question arises. If life has given us so much, how will we respond in return? Do good whenever the opportunity appears. Have you ever remembered a moment in your life when you were about to help someone, about to say a kind word, about to reach out your hand, and then you hesitated and the moment passed? We often think we will do something good at a more suitable time, when we are less busy, when we feel more comfortable, when we are not afraid of being misunderstood, when we are not worried about being inconvenienced. But life does not wait for the perfect moment. Moments that call for kindness often arrive quickly and disappear just as quickly. A person struggling with heavy bags, a pleading glance when a motorbike breaks down in the street, a coworker unusually quiet. We see, we sense, but then a small voice in our mind whispers, "What if they think I'm interfering? I'm in a hurry. Someone else will help." And we walk away. No one is wrong for hesitating. But sometimes that hesitation causes us to miss the chance to plant a seed of goodness. The Buddha taught that when a kind intention arises, act on it. Do not let calculation cool the natural warmth of the heart, because a timely act of goodness can change an entire day, even a life. I once heard a story about a man sitting alone in a cafe, his face heavy with worry. A server noticed and quietly placed a cup of hot tea in front of him, saying softly, "You look like you might need this today." There was no long conversation, no advice, just a small gesture. Later, the man shared that he had been thinking about giving up everything due to life's pressures. But that unexpected kindness made him feel seen, made him feel cared for. A cup of tea did not solve everything, but it changed his heart. We often underestimate the power of small actions, especially when they happen at the right moment. A timely word of encouragement can help someone keep going. A helping hand at the right time can save someone from despair. Sincere listening can soothe a wounded heart. What matters is not the scale of the action, but its timing and the heart behind it. Sometimes we hesitate to do good because we fear being misunderstood. Fear others may think we are insincere. Fear rejection. Fear being taken advantage of. These fears are deeply human. But if your kindness is sincere, it does not need to be perfect. It does not need recognition. It does not need to be returned. It only needs to be given. I remember a heavy rainstorm when a stranger stopped to hold an umbrella over an elderly woman struggling to cross the street. No one filmed it. No one took photos. Traffic behind them remained impatient. The moment unfolded in silence. But if you looked closely, you would see the elderly woman hold the stranger's hand 1 second longer before continuing, as if wanting to keep that warmth just a little longer. And acts like these do not change the world in loud ways, but they make the world gentler. When you do good the moment the opportunity appears, you do not only help others, you cultivate the sensitivity of your own heart. You become more attuned to the suffering of others. You become more present in life, and something remarkable happens. When kindness arises and is acted upon, supportive conditions often appear, not always as obvious rewards, but as doors quietly opening, warmer relationships, unexpected moments of connection, a deep sense of peace within. Life seems to support hearts that know how to give. Try asking yourself, when was the last time you acted on your natural kindness? Is there a moment you missed because of hesitation? If an opportunity appears tomorrow, will you step forward or walk past? You do not need to do anything grand. Simply act when the heart speaks. A word of care, a gesture of help, a sincere presence. Because life is not changed only by great events, but by small moments filled with goodness. And when you begin living this way, you realize you are no longer separate from the world. You become part of a quiet current of kindness that nourishes life. And when we grow accustomed to doing good without hesitation, a deeper question begins to arise. What happens when kindness is no longer a single act, but becomes the way we live each day? Sometimes the opportunity to do good appears only once. Keeping ethical precepts and living uprightly bring peace to the heart. Have you ever wondered why some people live very simply, without display, without competition? Yet when you are near them, you feel a quiet peace? Not because they say anything extraordinary, but because where they stand, there seems to be no conflict. That peace does not come from luck. It comes from the way they live. In Buddhist teaching, there is a very fundamental yet profound foundation: keeping ethical precepts and living uprightly, not as a set of rules to fear, but as principles that keep the heart pure and life light, not harming life, not stealing, not deceiving, not causing harm in relationships, not allowing the mind to sink into intoxication and loss of control. It sounds simple, but if you observe closely, you will see that much of human unrest begins when these principles are broken. When we lie, we must remember the lie. We fear being exposed. The mind cannot relax. When we do something wrong, even if no one knows, a part of us remains uneasy. When we act in ways that hurt others, we do not only wound them, we leave an imprint within our own minds. Keeping precepts is not about becoming a good person in the eyes of others. Keeping precepts is about allowing our own hearts to be at peace. Try recalling a time you told the truth, even when it placed you at a disadvantage. You may have lost an opportunity. You may not have been appreciated as you hoped. Yet deep inside, you felt light, not because the outcome was favorable, but because you did not carry the burden of pretense. I once knew a small shop owner. One day, a customer accidentally paid far more than required. No one noticed. No cameras, no witnesses. He called the customer back and returned the extra money. The customer asked in surprise, "Des, why didn't you just keep it?" He smiled and replied, "Keeping the money is easy. Keeping peace in the heart is harder." His words were simple, yet carried deep understanding. Peace does not come from gaining more, but from not carrying wrongdoing. Keeping precepts purifies body and mind because it prevents inner conflict. When our actions align with our conscience, we are not fighting ourselves. You sleep more deeply, you breathe more fully, you walk more lightly, not because life has no difficulties, but because within you, there is no inner division. This is especially clear in speech. A small lie can lead to many more. A sincere truth, even when difficult, brings clarity and ease. Living uprightly does not mean living perfectly. We all make mistakes, feel weak at times, and lose control. But each time we recognize this and return to honesty, we cleanse the mind, like a lake that becomes clear once it is no longer stirred. Avoiding habits that cloud the mind is also essential for clarity. When the mind is veiled by intoxicants, loss of control, or habits that weaken our will, we act on impulse rather than wisdom. Awareness brings freedom. Loss of control brings regret. Those who maintain clarity in body and mind live with greater steadiness and insight. You might ask yourself, what in my life causes unease when I think about it? Is there an action I know is not right, yet I continue to justify? If I lived a little more honestly, a little more gently, how might I feel? Keeping precepts does not restrict freedom. It protects inner freedom. Because when we are not bound by lies, guilt, or regret, we walk through life with ease. No need to hide. No need to defend. No need to fear being exposed. You simply live. And within that upright way of living, a deep peace begins to form. Not loud, not showy, but steady like the ground beneath your feet. The outer world may still be unstable. Things may not always go as we wish. But one who lives uprightly carries within them a peaceful refuge, a place they can return to at any time. And when the heart becomes clear and steady, we begin to recognize a deeper truth. Peace is not something we search for outside. It is something cultivated through the way we live each day. Within that peace, a new door opens, the door to deeper awareness and inner freedom. Contemplating impermanence to live fully in the present. If you knew with certainty that this moment would never come again, would you live it differently? The question may sound philosophical, yet the truth is that every moment in life is passing in exactly that way. No morning ever returns. No conversation repeats itself in the same form. No version of you today exists forever. And yet we live as if everything will always be there. We postpone words of love. We postpone rest. We postpone happiness. We think, tomorrow I will. But life is made of todays. The Buddha taught that all things are impermanent, arising and passing, coming and going, constantly changing. Not to make us pessimistic, but to awaken us. Look at a leaf. In spring, it is tender green. In summer, it grows strong. In autumn, it changes color. And one day, it releases from the branch. There is no tragedy, only transformation. Human life is the same. Youth does not remain. Health does not remain forever. Those we love cannot accompany us for the entire journey. Understanding this does not make us sad. It makes us cherish. Have you noticed that when we know something is about to end, we become more present? The final afternoon before leaving a familiar place. The last conversation before someone moves away. The final moments of a vacation. We feel more deeply. We pay more attention. We live more fully. Yet the strange truth is, every moment in life is that precious. We simply forget. I once met a man recovering from a severe illness. After surviving, he said facing death had changed how he saw life. Before, He was always busy, always rushing, always thinking about the next step. After the illness, he began walking more slowly, eating more slowly, listening to his wife and children more attentively. Each afternoon, he sat on the porch just to watch the changing light. He said, "I didn't gain more time. I just began living more deeply in the time I have." That is the gift of contemplating impermanence. When we understand that everything changes, we stop taking ordinary moments for granted. A family meal becomes something to treasure. A peaceful morning becomes a gift. An embrace becomes sacred. Impermanence does not take meaning away from life. It makes everything more meaningful. At the same time, understanding impermanence helps us loosen our attachments. We stop trying to hold tightly to what is changing. We resist less what we cannot control. When a chapter ends, we are less devastated. When a relationship shifts, we resist less. When life turns unexpectedly, we learn to adapt. Not because we do not care, but because we understand that change is the nature of life. Letting go does not mean giving up love. Letting go means loving without trying to possess. Like holding a handful of sand. If you clench tightly, it slips through your fingers. But if you open your palm, the sand can rest there. Freedom lies in that openness. When we stop trying to control everything, we begin to live with greater softness. We welcome change instead of fighting it. We adapt instead of tightening in resistance. And in that softness, a sense of ease appears. Not because life stops changing, but because we stop resisting its flow. Try asking yourself, if I knew this moment would not return, would I be more present? If I knew the person before me would not be here forever, would I listen more deeply? If I understood that all things are impermanent, would I release what is not worth holding? Impermanence is not something to fear. It is a gentle reminder that life is happening right now, not tomorrow, not when everything is perfect, not when all conditions are met. Right now. When we live with this awareness, each breath becomes clearer, each step becomes steadier, each moment becomes deeper. We stop waiting for life to begin. We realize we are already in the middle of it. And in that realization, a quiet freedom appears. Freedom from the fear of loss, freedom from attachment, freedom from postponing happiness. We live fully, peacefully, awake. And when we truly live in the present, a profound truth begins to reveal itself. Peace is not found in keeping everything from changing, but in opening the heart to all of life's changes. Returning to observe ourselves instead of trying to fix others. Have you ever felt exhausted from trying to explain, change, or fix someone, only to find that the harder you try, the greater the distance between you becomes? We often believe that if the other person would change, speak more gently, understand us better, behave more appropriately, then everything would be fine. So, we offer advice, we analyze, we argue, we try to persuade. But sometimes, the only thing that changes is the tension within our own hearts. There is a difficult truth to accept. People often suffer not because others refuse to change, but because we want them to change according to our wishes. We want loved ones to understand us. We want coworkers to behave reasonably. We want our partners to respond exactly as we expect. And when reality does not match our expectations, we feel frustrated, disappointed, even hurt. But if we pause for a moment, we may realize the only thing we truly have the power to change is ourselves. The Buddha taught that when the mind is unsettled, instead of looking outward to find fault, we return to observe ourselves. Not to blame ourselves, not to deny our emotions, but to understand what is truly happening within. When a remark makes us angry, we often think, "They made me angry." But looking more deeply, we may see anger arising within ourselves. When we see someone succeed and feel discomfort, we may recognize a trace of jealousy present. When someone criticizes us and we react strongly, Perhaps our pride has been touched. These emotions do not make us bad. They make us human. And the moment we recognize them is the moment awakening begins. I once knew a manager who was constantly tense with his team. He often complained that his employees lacked responsibility, initiative, and respect for procedures. He tightened discipline, created stricter rules, and monitored every detail. Yet, the workplace atmosphere grew heavier. One day, during a leadership training session, he was asked, "What do you want your employees to change?" He answered quickly. Then the trainer asked, "And what are you willing to change?" The question left him silent. In the following weeks, instead of only observing his staff, he began observing himself. He noticed that he often spoke in a tense tone. He rarely listened fully. He reacted quickly when things did not go according to plan. He began adjusting his voice, listening more, reducing control, increasing trust. A few months later, his team worked more effectively, showed greater initiative, and felt more connected. He did not fix his employees. He transformed himself, and the environment changed. When we return to observe ourselves, we are no longer victims of our emotions. We become the ones who understand and transform them. Anger becomes a signal that we are hurt. Jealousy becomes a reminder to revisit our own values. Pride becomes an opportunity to learn humility. This is the beginning of awakening, seeing clearly what is happening in our own minds. This is not easy. Observing others is always easier than observing ourselves. Pointing out others' faults is simpler than recognizing the shadows within. But the path to changing the outer world always begins with transformation within. When our anger lessens, our words become gentler. When judgment softens, our gaze becomes more compassionate. When pride loosens, we listen more easily. And when we change how we show up, the way others respond to us also changes, not because they are forced, but because the energy we bring has changed. Try asking yourself, in a recent situation that upset me, what emotion was arising within me? Am I trying to change others or avoiding looking at myself? And if I change my response, what might happen? Observing oneself is not selfish. It is an act of responsibility toward one's own life. Because when the mind becomes clear, the way we see the world changes. And when perception changes, the experience of life changes. The world may remain the same, but through a new way of seeing, it becomes gentler. When we stop fighting everything outside, we begin living in deep harmony with ourselves and with others. From that harmony, a very natural peace begins to arise, not from control, but from understanding. Within that understanding, we realize that transformation is not about changing the world, but about illuminating our own hearts. And when the heart becomes clear, the path ahead also becomes clear. Nurturing mindfulness in each ordinary breath. If I asked you, when was the last time you truly felt a full breath? Would you remember? We breathe every day, tens of thousands of times, yet rarely notice that we are breathing. The mind keeps running ahead. The next task, the unanswered message, the unfinished plan, or drifting back into the past with what has already happened. And within that constant stream of thought, we lose the only place where life is actually happening, the present moment. We often think peace is a destination, somewhere far away, when work is more stable, when pressure eases, when everything falls into place. Yet when those conditions arrive, the mind finds something new to worry about. Because peace is not in circumstances, it is in how we are present. The Buddha taught that peace is not somewhere distant. It exists within each mindful breath. When we truly pause and feel the breath entering and leaving the body, the mind begins to settle. There is no need to change the world, no need to solve every problem, only to pause and breathe. You can try right now. Inhale slowly. Feel the air entering your chest. Exhale gently. Feel the body soften. Just a few seconds like this, and part of the tension dissolves. This is not magic. It is the natural mechanism of body and mind. When attention rests on the breath, the nervous system relaxes, the heart rate slows, the mind becomes less chaotic. But mindfulness is not only sitting in silent meditation. Mindfulness is the way we live. It is walking more slowly instead of rushing, listening to someone without preparing a reply in your head, eating a meal while truly tasting the food instead of scrolling on your phone. These small actions bring the mind back to the present. I once met a woman who felt constantly exhausted, even though her workload was not excessive. She said her mind never stopped. Even while resting, she was thinking about what needed to be done. One day, her doctor suggested she spend a few minutes each day focusing only on her breathing. At first, she found it pointless, but after several weeks, she noticed she reacted more slowly to stress. Situations that once irritated her no longer controlled her as strongly. She said, "I didn't change my job. I changed how I show up in my job." That is the power of mindfulness. When we live in awareness, we are no longer swept away by the endless stream of thoughts. We begin to notice small moments full of life, morning light filtering through the window, the sound of wind touching the leaves, the sensation of our feet meeting the ground as we walk. Life does not become different, but we begin to see it. Mindfulness does not slow life down. It helps us stop missing it. When we pause to breathe, we create a space between stimulus and response. In that space, we have choice. Instead of reacting immediately in anger, we can breathe. Instead of being carried away by worry, we can pause. Instead of speaking hurtful words, we can listen. A single mindful breath can change how a moment unfolds. And many such moments can change a life. You do not need extra time to practice mindfulness. You only need to bring attention into what you are already doing. Wash your hands and feel the water. Drink tea and feel the warmth spreading. Walk and feel each movement. This is not a small thing. It is returning to life. Try asking yourself, how many moments today did I truly live? Am I present or only existing in thought? If I pause and breathe deeply right now, what might change? Mindfulness does not ask you to leave life. It brings you back to life. A mindful person does not need to search for peace. They are living within peace, not because life no longer changes, but because they are no longer swept away by every change. The breath continues to come. The breath continues to go. One moment follows another. And when we are fully present, we realize peace is not something to achieve. It has always been here, in this breath, in this moment, in the life unfolding right now. Inhale slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause gently and exhale very slowly. Core message. Perhaps after everything we have journeyed through together, you begin to see that life does not become lighter because the world changes, but because the heart begins to see differently. We spend many years trying to control everything outside of us, what others think, how they behave, whether life is fair. But at some point, we realize a very simple truth. Peace is not found in controlling the world. Peace is found in understanding and mastering ourselves. You may have felt exhausted by judgment, hurt by misunderstanding, troubled by how others see you. But when we stop allowing these things to control our emotions, a new space opens. The space of inner freedom. Do not concern yourself too much with what others are doing, saying, or thinking about you. Each person is living within their own causes and conditions, perceptions, and suffering. When we stop reacting to every external disturbance, we begin to protect the stillness within. And in that stillness, we can return to something more important, keeping a kind heart. Living with kindness does not mean becoming perfect. It means choosing gentleness when we can, choosing calm when we have reason to be irritated, choosing compassion when we could judge, a gentle word, a sincere action, a wholesome thought. These small things do not only make life easier for others, they make our own hearts more peaceful. Living sincerely frees us from wearing exhausting masks. Contentment frees us from endless races. When we stop living to prove or compare, life suddenly becomes much lighter. You may not have everything you once wished for, but if you appreciate what you already have, you may discover you have never truly been poor. Doing good is not about accumulating merit like a transaction. Doing good is how the heart blossoms. And every act of kindness, no matter how small, makes the world a little gentler. Letting go of resentment is not because others deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve peace. When hatred is set down, the heart grows lighter and life energy is released. Living with humility allows us to walk lightly through life. No need to compete, no need to prove, no need to stand above anyone to feel worthy. And gratitude is the golden thread that connects it all. When we are grateful, we feel enough. When we feel enough, we live in ease. When we live in ease, we stop chasing illusions of happiness. In the end, all paths return to one simple truth. When the mind is at peace, life is at peace. Not because the storms disappear, but because we are no longer swept away by them. Not because life becomes perfect, but because we stop demanding perfection from it. When this video ends, the outer world may remain the same. Work will still wait for you. Pressures may still be present. Unresolved matters may still exist. But if within you, there is a little more stillness, a little more letting go, a little deeper understanding of yourself, then that's enough to change how you step into tomorrow. Tonight, before you sleep, try taking a deep breath in and exhale slowly. Gently ask yourself, did I live with kindness today? What did I release that made my heart lighter? Can I step into tomorrow with a softer heart? You do not need to change your life overnight. Just become a little lighter each day. Sit quietly for a moment and feel the stillness within you. If these reflections have touched you, carry with you one small insight that feels most meaningful and allow it to accompany you in the days ahead. And if you are still listening in these final moments, I want to offer you my heartfelt gratitude. In a hurried world, the fact that you paused to listen, to reflect, to care for your inner life, that in itself is a beautiful act. May you continue your path forward with a light heart, a peaceful mind, and a quiet peace that has always lived within you.